Baku Madarame, also known as Usogui, is a frequent gambler. Until he meets his match one day, he is thought to be invincible by many. The movie opens on a Tokyo skyscraper where Baku and Soichi Kirima, the Kakeru Club's 21st generation royal leader, are gambling. The largest gambling organization in Japan, the Kakeru Club oversees numerous games with substantial stakes. The club's members have the ability to influence the national government because they are selected from among the country's highest political echelons. By risking his life, the Baku challenges Soichi. He wants Soichi to be in charge of the Kakeru Club if he wins. The latter nods in agreement without saying a word. In the meantime, Hikoichi Yako and two club referees moderate the gambling. There is a rumor that they have never been fair in their lives. After having eaten a biscuit, Baku wagers that at least one plane will pass by their location within an hour. Sadly for him, Soichi is so powerful that he secretly orders his subordinates to take control of all of Japan's flights and divert them from where they are currently. In addition, it is revealed that Soichi's people killed some pilots who were hired by Baku to fly by their location prior to the game. Baku loses the game as a result, as no planes are seen in the allotted time. However, the club referee Hikoichi informs Baku that his execution has been revoked just as he is about to be killed. Instead, he will be kicked out of the club and sent to a faraway place outside of Tokyo. The film then skips ahead 3 years. Some place in a far-off town, a lot of men are seen betting. One of them, an elderly man, has won every game for 2 hours. Despite the fact that everyone's odds are the same, the others are baffled as to how he manages to win every game. Baku shows up shortly thereafter and confidently wagers 1 million yen, declaring that he will eat the old man's lies. He immediately wins the bet, shocking everyone by revealing the old man's deception to the group. Baku detaches a hidden magnet from a dice when he breaks it. He also reveals the number of hidden magnets beneath the table. Every time they change the position of the dice, they help the old man win. After that, it becomes clear that Baku had also inserted a magnet into the 1 million yen bet. He won all the money as a result of this, eventually swinging the tie in his favor. Baku meets one of his friends later on during lunch, who informs him that one person wants to challenge Kakeru Club leader Soichi in Tokyo. He informs Baku that the individual is a well-known scientist in Tokyo by the name of Iki Sadako. This is because of his most recent breakthrough, which involved finding and extracting a brand new element known as methane hydrate, a fuel that can replace oil, is an energy. It turns out that Iki had invested all of his money in his research without assistance from the government. However, he suddenly vanished from the public eye after a fatal explosion killed all of the researchers. However, a few sources claim that Iki is now concentrating on Soichi and the Kakeru Club in order to ascend to leadership. Because of this, Baku longs to return to the city to put his past behind him. The action then cuts to a gambling match between Masahiro Onodera, the finance minister, and Iki, the scientist. Kiro Makama, a club referee, is in charge of the match. It turns out that Masahiro was the one who challenged Iki so that he could possibly use Iki's research findings to control the next election. However, Iki wins each of the 6 betting rounds, resulting in a significant loss of 300 million yen for Masahiro. He orders the referee to start the game over, which is against the Kakeru Club's rules. Masahiro gives his men the order to kill Kiro if he refuses. Fortunately, the referee kills the minister's men with ease thanks to his exceptional combat skills. Iki is approached by Kiro after the massacre and asked to serve as his personal referee. Baku, on the other hand, lands in Tokyo, where he meets Takomi Kaji, a young boy, on the street. Kaji is a nice kid, but he also has problems. He had to borrow money from perilous loan sharks as a result of his friends cheating. Kaji is suddenly confronted by the loan sharks, who ask for money as they talk on a bench. Fortunately, Baku scares them away by claiming to be a Yakuza member. After that, he asks Kaji how much debt he owes altogether, and Kaji responds, 2.2 million yen. Baku offers to help the boy because he is sorry for him. The two gamble all of their money on roulette in an illegal casino run by a woman named Ranko Kurama that same evening. Baku deliberately stakes his coin chips on all but the chosen numbers. Kaji says that the idea is stupid and that they will lose more money this way. Baku, however, increases his stake in the hope that they will win everything. Sadly, Kaji is proven to be correct. Even though Baku loses the round, he still doesn't look worried. He opts instead to do everything or nothing. Baku increases his wager for the final round and places bets on every number other than 9. After that, he eats a biscuit, and Kaji receives the cash from Baku so that he can settle his debts and carry on with his life. Kaji asks Baku to be his friend after the game because he likes him. However, the frequent gambler declines because he does not want to put Kaji's life in danger. Iki defeats Kurama in a game of casino gambling that same evening without much fanfare. Iki is quickly challenged to a game of their own by Baku, who is also in the crowd. However, since Baku is not a member of the Kakeru Club, the latter declines the challenge. Baku approaches Kurama in search of a match and begs her to join Kakeru, but she declines, as was to be expected. She, on the other hand, points him in the direction of a person who is willing to risk their club membership. Taro Kokone, an elderly psychopath, is the individual. Kaji approaches Baku in the following scene and begs to be his sidekick. Surprisingly, the latter concurs this time. As a result, the two meet Taro the following day, and he takes them to his house in his own private forest. Taro explains that Baku and Kaji must obtain 5 keys from 5 of his pets within a predetermined amount of time in order to play their game. 10 million yen will be theirs if they win. The well-known referee from the Kakeru Club, Hikoichi Yako, will be in charge of the game. Baku, on the other hand, challenges Taro for his Kakeru membership prior to the start of the game. After some reflection, the elderly man agrees out of pride. Baku gives Hikoichi a pen out of joy, but they don't know it's a listening device. The two boys discover that Taro's pets are actually mercenaries shortly after the game begins. Even though they have high-end weapons, Baku and Taro are able to defeat and capture them with the listening device. Taro unleashes his ultimate weapon, a muscular human named Rodem who turns out to be his biological son, causing him a great deal of irritation. It comes to light that Rodem has been the subject of a series of experiments that have transformed him into a terrifying monster. However, one of his flaws is that Rodem always goes to sleep after 15 minutes. Baku plans to delay Rodem long enough for him to fall asleep once he learns of this through the listening device. The two then enter a warehouse, where they discover a weapon-ready bottle of methanol. Shortly thereafter, they blind and restrict Rodem's movements with the bottle. The boys win after Baku changes his name to Marco and says he'll show him how to gamble later. After that, there is a flashback to Iki's past in which he meets with Finance Minister Masahiro Onodera and tells him that he wants to give the rest of the world free access to his discovery of methane hydrate. However, Masahiro vehemently refuses, claiming that the product poses a risk to the general public. He puts explosives in Iki's lab and destroys the entire space to make himself clear. Iki survived the incident, but he lost his sight for life. Several scientists were killed. He now has only one goal in life: to exact vengeance on the government. Iki did a lot of research and decided that the easiest way to bring down the corrupt government officials one by one would be to become the leader of the Kakeru Club. He finally accepts Baku's challenge to get the media's attention in the present. After that, the movie cuts to their match day, which is live broadcast and witnessed by numerous state elites, including Kurama. Baku is scared by Kiro, Iki's new assistant, as he and Kaji enter the gambling hall. He accidentally fires his weapon, causing damage to one of the inside CCTV cameras. After some time, Hikoichi asks the people who are watching the game live to participate by betting money on which player will win. The investors also decide the kind of punishment that the loser will have to deal with. Surprisingly, the total amount bet reached 2 billion yen in a matter of minutes. The investors then decide that the punishment will be hangman, in which the losing player and their partner will be hanged inside the gambling arena in front of a live audience. As a result, Baku and Iki engage in a form of gambling known as Hangman Old Maid, in which two players take turns picking cards from the deck of their rivals in an effort to locate the identical matching card. Consequently, any player who receives an Old Maid card at the conclusion of a round is immediately declared a loser. However, in this particular game, the Old Maid cards have numbers from 1 to 5, and the number selected determines the number of gallows components. As a result, any player who receives 11 Old Maid cards will also lose. Hikoichi declares prior to the start of the game that any form of subterfuge is permitted so long as the opponent is unaware. As a result, play immediately begins, with Baku receiving a 5-valued Old Maid card and Iki winning the first round. He receives a 4th Old Maid card in the subsequent round, bringing his total to 9 gallows parts. Kaji and Kurama, on the other hand, are worried because they are certain Baku will lose the game. He pulls another Old Maid card to their horror. With this, Baku can hang himself and Kaji with just one card. However, Baku eats his special biscuit in the final round because he is determined to reverse the situation. Iki is then shown to be able to see his opponent's cards despite being blind, thanks to the CCTV cameras all over the gambling arena. Baku uses the blind spot created when Kaji accidentally damaged one of the cameras when he learns of this. Because everything is fair in this game, he even peeks through Iki's cards as the game progresses. Finally, he shows a camera-made card he made with a pen. Iki jumps for joy when his brain realizes that his opponent has lost. Sadly, This only reveals his fraudulent strategy to the referee and the audience as a whole. It turned out that he had inserted a device into his back that allowed his brain to view everything via CCTV. The assistant, frustrated by the defeat, Baku is easily killed by Hikoichi when Kiro tries to attack him. Iki accepts Baku's fate as a result of this and officially grants him membership in the Kakeru Club. He is then killed in front of everyone in accordance with the game's rules. After that, the movie jumps forward 1 year, where Baku, Kurama, Marco, and Kaji travel to a location for a gambling game. They are greeted by Hikoichi shortly after arriving, who confines Baku to an arena. As the movie comes to a close, it becomes clear that Baku will compete against Suichi Kirima for the Kakeru Club leadership position.